What's up, guys? I'm Jay,
I'm Christy.
and this is the Trading Floor Podcast. It's been a little while. We've had strategy wars and some unforeseen circumstances, but we are now back, and this is season 2, episode 7. And this is gonna be kind of like a lightning round interview for Christy. I'm gonna chime in a couple times here and there on some of the questions, but basically, I will be interviewing Christy on questions that the community here at TTF gave her, and they want to know, the secret sauce, and that's what I'm here for. I'm going to be the host, and Christy is going to be the lab rat.
I know I'm a little nervous. No, I actually know some of these questions. So some of you guys were probably in this live that I did. And my tech setup went bad because if it's techie and it can go bad, it will for me. So I apologize. So some of you guys heard a much longer extended version of this stuff. You guys, there was like a 2.5 hour live that Jay and I did to get through some of these questions. So if you were there, some of this may be repeat. But if you asked those questions and you were like, well, where's the recording? It didn't happen. So this is it.
Very unfortunate.
So
Yeah,
I apologize. So we're going to go through them again for you guys so you can watch back the podcast. And Jay's going to interview me in, I guess, a rapid fire. I don't know. This is make me nervous. Like, let's go. All right. I feel like
yeah, this is
excited
an
to try this.
experiment. Christy's the
All right.
lab rat, and I'm the scientist. But okay, let's keep going. So, Christy, first question: what was the best trading day of your career?
Best trading day of my career was I did talk about this one in the live where I had 150,000-ish some dollar when it was on Instagram. I don't know. I haven't had time to check actually. It might still be on my Instagram. It was about a week long trade, 7 days, business days that I held it. And it was on the 4 hour time frame. Something I was watching for like weeks, was waiting for weeks to get into. And it just like all the stars aligned correctly. And I trailed it beautifully. And yeah, that
And
was
forgot
my
about
biggest
it, and
trade.
was like, "Oops."
I didn't forget about it. I did not. I literally dreamt about that dream for a week.
On the flip side, though, what was the worst trading day of your career?
The worst trading day in my career, I don't have a full on worst. But there was an experience. So there was definitely a good 2 years where it was bad. Things were bad. The first 2 years learning were bad. Things were rough. Some really bad days. I probably cried a lot of those days. I quit pretty much all of them. I probably broke a couple of things, like, throwing things. I'm not gonna lie, like definitely had some anger issues in the beginning with trading.
Business expense.
Yeah. But anyhow, the worst day, and this is actually a question I think Jay is gonna ask me. So I'm gonna just
Well, yeah,
clump it
I'm
here. We'll
like
skip
biggest
it.
loss too. Like biggest loss, worst day. Like just throw it all in there.
The biggest loss I ever had was okay, let's be for real. I have funded accounts, and like if you're taking those into account, I probably have bigger losses on those accounts. But like to me, I'm like, not my money, not my problem.
Yeah, personal accounts is
So
more like
so losing on your funded accounts, I probably did blow account and let the trade run and was like, well, I already lost the account, so who knows. But personal accounts, I had lost over 20 some $1,000 pretty quickly. And it wasn't my fault. So I had a cat. I no longer have this cat. I didn't do anything crazy to the cat. Let me be clear.
well,
I didn't do anything.
what?
Let me The cat just has a new home.
No cats were harmed in the making of this
So
recording. Let
yeah,
me just throw a
don't call
disclaimer out
PETA.
there.
Yeah, do not call PETA on me. Nothing bad happened to her. But she was for reference, her name was Penny Nightmare. Like she legit was a nightmare of a cat to live with. And she was not very nice. Nonetheless, I used to trade in a little office setup I had, and basically worked off a laptop, like nothing fancy, had a laptop and a little keyboard. And I was finally building up my personal account. I think I was at like 56, 57-ish thousand, somewhere around there in the 50s range, right? And I was, pretty proud of myself, making good progress finally. And I went to go get coffee. So I went out to my kitchen to go to my Keurig, and I left my MT4 and everything up. And that was my biggest mistake because my cat at the time loved to lay on everything. Like she would just lay on stuff.
No
And
shot.
I went to go make my, no, it's definitely a shot. This happened. This is a real life story. I don't have her anymore. I told you she went to a new home. Not because I did anything wrong to her, but yeah, after that I was like, wow, you were the most expensive animal I have ever owned. at this point. I went to go make my coffee. I'm thinking nothing of it, thinking like, oh, like, whatever. And here's the thing is I was actually looking for potential buys. I was still a younger trader. I thought, oh, like I'm just gonna maybe wait for some buys. And sure enough, it must have been high impact news or some sort of news hit around that time. And I was like waiting it out, waiting for the news to pass, thinking I'm gonna buy potentially. I would have been wrong anyhow, but sure enough, this cat, I come back and she's laying on my keyboard. And yeah, so I looked at my account and the news was running. I'm like looking at my clock in the kitchen thinking, oh, I have 15, 20 minutes before I go back and check, like let the news run because I didn't want to be tempted to like trade news. You know how like you can do that. So I'm like, don't sit in front of the chart. Go do something so you don't get tempted. Well, the cat took the trades. So yeah, I came back and it was about 20 some thousand and she wasn't smart enough to place a stop loss. So yeah, and the lot sizes
Cats
were
these
like,
days. That's why you get a dog,
yeah.
guys. Dogs no stop losses.
It's funny now, but
Well,
it was not funny for like a really long time. Like, but yeah, she
how
is good now. She
long?
lives with somebody else. The cat is safe. It didn't do
Okay,
anything.
that's nice. The cat is safe at the end of the
The
day.
cat is
But
safe.
how long did it take you to become profitable?
I talked about this before. It was about 2.5 years to get consistent. To be fair, not what I make now, but about 2.5 years to get consistent making, like at the time what my goal was, like roughly around. So I had shot for around $500 a week. And it was like roughly give or take about that. It took me about 2.5 years to get to that point where I could do that.
So this person's had to keep placing my stop loss incorrectly, it seems, on Stairmaster. Any advice? Well, what I'll say is check out episode 6, where we kind of go over the strategies and markups for that. We're going to keep all of the markups out of here and just ask like the general trading questions without
This
like
is
any
a
markups or support and resistance because
real
that
podcast.
was this is a rapid fire lightning thing, and that support resistance and things of that nature, it would take forever to answer. So
Yeah, we
could,
do go over that stuff in episode 6 though, and I did make sure that I kind of show you guys how I do that. So
Christy, do you think anyone can make it in trading?
anyone?
Anyone?
No, 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 I do not. Sorry. Sorry to burst your all bubbles. No, I
I'll
do not
take.
think anyone can make it. The reason is I think that it takes dedication and it takes a certain personality. You have to be here for the right motives. And if you're not going to make it. You're going to come and you're going to go, and that's okay. That's, that's with anything. But yeah, you need to be here. You need to have the right motives to be in the trading world. You
Well,
need to have the right commitment level. And that's the
we'll talk
reality.
about personalities, Christy. What are the top 3 most important qualities of a profitable trader?
I think you need to be consistent. You have to stick with it. You have to be willing to learn it. You can't just like learn it and then think like that's it. Like the markets are always changing. They're fluid. They're changing. You have to stay, with it and make sure that you're staying consistent. I think that you need to also be persistent in that, like when you get knocked down and you take losses, because it will inevitably happen, you need to be able to learn how to handle that mentally and learn how to like push yourself through that. So if you are able to do that, I think you'll do okay. Mindset's a huge thing, and we have so much mindset stuff already. And if you are in the community, there's so much mindset help. But yeah, for sure, persistency is huge because I mean, we all know what it's like.
Yeah.
It's hard, it's like everybody, I think everybody watches, you're like, yeah, I know Christy. You know what it's like. You've been there. Even if you're learning, it's hard. And we still struggle at every level. You have to be strong enough to learn from your mistakes, move on from them, and use it in a way to be self-accountable for what you've done wrong. Like if you can't admit when you're wrong, you need to be able to be you have to learn how to do that so you can like learn from your mistakes and truly move on from them and grow as a trader. And the last thing I think is maybe
Stubbornness.
well, that comes into persistency, but Jay calls it stubbornness. He thinks I'm a good trader because I'm stubborn, and I agree. I think it's true. I think that because I am stubborn, I'm a good trader. But I think it's all kind of the same, falls into the same thing. You need to have that ability to be. You have to have thick skin. Let's be for real. You have to be mentally really strong, and you have to be able to handle it. And I think if you can stick with it, you're consistent with it, you do the learning, you stick with it mentally, you can handle the mental like parts of it, and you truly take the accountability and learn from your mistakes and grow from it. And then you're stubborn enough to say, I won't fail. Like, I'm going to learn, I'm going to do this. I don't care how long it takes. And you don't put that like time restriction and pressure on yourself. I think that's when you can truly learn to grow and love this and develop it as a skill and not just like focus so much on dollar signs all the time. But that's my take on that. I think people who can do that tend to do well in trading. And the people who are so focused on just, oh, I just want a ton of money. I just want to go live my best life. I want to party like the gurus do, and I want to go travel the world like the gurus do. If that's your only motive, you're probably not going to last long because it's just not real. Like that's not realistic life when it comes to trading. All the actual profitable, consistent day traders I know don't, they are not like living guru lives. They're just living normal, regular lives, and this is what they do for a living. So that's my
Can you
take
give
on
us
it.
some insights? How many different prop firms you use? How long can you usually keep an account without blowing? What is your typical percent gain on them per month?
I currently am with my Forex funds and FTMO. I've used E8 before. I've used a lot of them. I try them out a lot of the times. Some I stay with, some I wouldn't recommend. We can do that in another video though, where we'll do like a real comparison of them. But I currently do use FTMO and my Forex funds. I think that they're probably the most consistent I've seen with, especially with me. Haven't really had any complaints or issues. That's who I use. How long to keep an account? Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
That varies from person to person. And I think that when you're asking something like that, your focus shouldn't be on how long you can keep the account. It should be like changing your mindset to saying, like, you passed it, you did it once. So even if you lose that account, don't focus so much on like the negativity of losing the account and thinking your world is over and your career as a trader is done. Like, it's okay. I still get accounts taken from me. I blow accounts. Like, it's okay.
You've
You
developed the
have that
skill to
skill.
pass. Yeah.
Yeah, you have that skill now. Go back to the confidence, boost yourself back up. You may need to like take some time away to regain your confidence, clear your head or whatever. Do a couple of the practice trials if you need to, but go back in and retest again and get another account. So that's kind of how it is. The consistency of it, I would just say, when you're looking at prop firms, the way I look at them is that I look at them for what they can give me and in a short term type of way, and that like I'm there to get my money and I want it and I take it. If you pass it and they give you your money back for the challenge fee and you've gotten a couple of payouts from them, you're already winning. Like you're already
True.
up. So take what you can and use what you can from them, and some way or another reinvest it, use it for another
Personal
firm,
account
maybe, yeah, use it, yeah,
where you
whatever
keep
you want to do.
100% of your profits. So
You can keep, yeah, that is my advice. I would say don't freak out about the losing it, the longevity of the account itself. You have the skill. The firms, the firms get paid mostly by the marketing to you. They mostly get paid by you losing the accounts because you'll re-sign back up. So don't take it to heart. It's like that's how they function and how they make most of their money. I know they say they copy trade, but let's be for real. They copy trade like very little of the people that they actually trade with. Most of the money is through sign up fees. So that is okay. They know what they're doing to you to take advantage of consumers, so use them to take advantage too. Like that's how I look at it. Like if you pass it, you made your money back, you're already winning in this aspect. And just redo the firms if you need to. It's not the end of the world to lose the account. You have the skill. That's
if
my
you
take.
want, speaking of business, if you want to run your trading like a business, how are some of the ways you set that up for tax in the US? So that's kind of a tough question for us to answer right here, but
The short answer, because I am US and Jay is US, there's a couple of options. One is if you're new, you could do it as like self-employed. So you need I'm not a financial advisor. You need to go truly, so that's my disclaimer. You
and
need to
this
go
is
truly talk to
specifically
somebody,
US.
specifically US. But there is the possibility to be self-employed and you would be a sole proprietor. That's like what the word, the
Lingo.
technical term is sole proprietorship. And you could do that if you were just claiming your trading money as your sole income and you're saying, well, I'm a day trader. But you say that to somebody and they're like, oh, what? Like, how do you get paid? Like, so the way you prove that you have a job and you have income is to say that you're a sole proprietor or you're self-employed and that would be your job and you would do
AKA
that.
contracted worker for the prop firms.
Yes, so today for the prop firms, it's one step further in that you would be a contracted worker. So that would be
You're not
something else
technically a
you
day
need to look at.
trader. You're just
Right.
offering a service for the company.
Right. Right. So that is the catch there. So definitely look into what that would mean, but basically still self-employed money. You would claim it in the same way. You could still run it through a sole proprietorship, the money that you make as a contracted worker. The other option is that once you get more advanced, if you really want to start going out of your, and expanding into your profits and exploring other opportunities, would be maybe looking at an LLC now where you could have multiple streams from different things coming through and kind of working with that. Or if you wanted to like hire employees or something down the line, if you were doing something more where you're looking to expand truly beyond just yourself and trading income, that would be maybe something you would want to look at. But for most people, I think in the beginning, something where you're self-employed with this like sole proprietorship is more than enough. But again, taxes are totally different. Everybody's different. LLCs and S corps, they offer different tax breaks, so it's totally up to you. You would have to look into it. Talk to a financial advisor. They really aren't that expensive, and they are amazing if you get a good one. If you don't like one, it's okay. Find a new one. There's lots of them out there. But definitely recommend somebody who really knows finance for real like that.
Are you going to release a new setup for the Half Challenge Gator?
Oh yeah. I do plan to. We're actually working on it right now, and in Strategy Wars, I'm forward testing a new version of the Happy Trail Indicator. So yes, that will be coming. I'm hoping April. Like fingers crossed, everything goes well, and April will be the release. April-ish. I don't know what date, but April sometime.
Hi, I am a newer trader and have been trying to do this alone and have not been able to be profitable. My first question is how I can combine work and trading. Do you have tips, and which of the trading strategies fits best, or is that not relevant?
Okay, so hi. And your hi was so like hi. Hi.
It's been a while.
Welcome. Hi, welcome, new trader to the community. I'm glad you have a community. I do think doing it alone sucks. As somebody who did it alone, it sucks. I do wish I had had a good community that I trusted back in the day. So I'm glad that you found the community. I'm hoping that you will find some help in the community. For what was the next part of it? Was
I can answer
strategy?
this. So
I didn't
basically, for
forget.
work and trading, figure out the hour,
Oh,
2 hours, 30 minutes that you can dedicate specifically to whatever. Like, been trading around your work, not vice versa. Do not test things that you can't trade. So if you could trade if you wake up earlier and could trade the first 1 hour before your work, go back and back test all the strategies specifically in that hour. If you're not finding a lot of trades, add more pairs to that strategy, and that's basically all you really need to do. It's going to come down to back testing, and that's always going to be our answer, and we sound like broken records,
it's
but
always Jay's answer. Yes. My other thing is just be realistic about when you can trade. So as Jay said, back test it, know what you're going to trade. And the truth is if you're working, I mean, I know what it's like to work and trade. Jay doesn't really, but I do. And the truth is you have to well, I'm being
I'm
serious.
joking. I'm joking.
And everybody's in different situations, but if you're somebody who has to work and trade, the truth is you maybe need to sacrifice some areas. I talked about this in the live, but I used to have to wake up at like 3 a.m. I don't trade London anymore, but I used to have to, and like that sucked. Like I would have to wake up at 3 a.m. to 2 a.m., trade at 3 a.m. and trade from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. and then go to work at 7 a.m. And that's just what I had to do in order to be able to be in a live market at the time that I was available to sit down undistracted and do that. So you may need to make some sacrifices. But again, this comes back to that personality thing. Where, like, if you're dedicated enough and you're perseverance is good. I'm like, we've been talking a lot so far today, guys. Your perseverance is good, and and you're stubborn enough to do it. Like you're like, I'm not going to fail. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make it work. Like this comes down to that type of personality and that kind of pusher. Like if you're that kind of person, I mean, you're going to find time to make it work. And it is a lot. It is hard with families. I'm sure it's really difficult in jobs, but you will find time if it's important enough to you. So that's kind of my suggestion is find the time that works for you to sit down undistracted. Use the pairs though during that time. That makes sense. The strategy, there's no right or wrong to the strategy. I feel like it comes down to what clicks for you. I will say maybe go watch episode 6 if you haven't watched it
Yeah.
and see if one of those strategies for you, when we kind of do like mini breakdowns of them, like we show them, see if one of them, when we're showing a markup and showing the chart, does one of them jump out at you? You're like, oh, I visualize that. Like my head can understand what you just said there. If there's one that you like more, I would say maybe try that one, stick with it, and then
Also,
work with it.
to wrap up the answer to, we don't know, you kind of a little vague here. We don't know if you work online or you work at a job. We're assuming you work at a job and you're not available at the computer. So it's like a completely different ball game, but still, if you're able to work from home and kind of trade in the same capacity, make sure you still like devote time to where it's like, okay, I could fully like pay attention in these certain aspects in time. So this next question I'm actually going to answer is, can you explain and or where can I find more information about the relationship between inflation and high interest rates and the influence on Forex indices and commodities like gold. So basically, just think of it as a seesaw. If inflation goes up, then interest rates need to go up to combat inflation for inflation to go back down. Vice versa, if inflation's too low, then the interest rates will drop down. That way, inflation will come back up to balance out. So the easiest way for interest rates on like the markets like Forex and indices especially is whenever interest rates go up, for the big countries, the G7 countries like US, like China, Germany, like France, like all the big countries, what happens is when interest rates go up for a certain country, they'll actually borrow from other countries with a low interest rate and then put their money and invest into the countries with the higher interest rates. Obviously, you make more money if there's a 2% interest rate and a 5% interest rate, take from the 2 and then go invest in the 5 and you have a 3% return. And so that will help Forex because the currency strengthens. But in indices, whenever interest rates go up in that specific country, like the US, for example, is that it affects the US stocks because those are businesses, the interest rates are higher, so loans cost more. It makes everything more expensive. People aren't taking out loans to buy houses and cars and things of that nature. So you'll see when interest rates go up, the USD will go up, but as the indices will actually go down. And then gold compared to the indices, if people have full trust in the US dollar, gold will go down. Vice versa, if people don't believe in the US dollar, they want to like ensure their money's backed by a hard asset, so they'll go invest in gold because they're like, oh my God, the USD is going to fall. Let me go buy gold now before the world ends. But that's basically the kind of gist of it. So Christy,
if you want to know more about them, you can check out any sort of economic calendar too. So Jay's just telling you guys the idea behind it, but you also can follow those numbers by checking out any of these economic calendars. They're free. You can find them online. I personally like myforexbooks.com. I think there's
Forex Factory, Trading Economics, and things of that nature.
Go ahead, you Rob. I don't want them to not hear it. Ramble them one more time because we were talking over each other.
Sorry. Forex Factory, Trading Economics. Those are some of the websites that's in my FX book. I think Trading Economics is probably the most elaborate one that you can go for, but
that one gives you a little more detail than some of the other ones, but still, like, you can follow them on there.
Christy, what's your secret sauce that helps you achieve such a high win rate?
Mike's Honey Hot? No, just kidding.
Oh, you already heard. This is the first time. This is exclusive content.
Mike's Honey Hot is my favorite. No, just kidding.
Everybody's buying that now, and they're like, "Why is their sales going up?"
You're welcome, Mike's. Can I get some free advertising? Like, I'll do it for you. Just give me some free hot sauce. No, I
Next
love
podcast. You'll see like the little sauce in the background.
Right, just sitting right back there. No, that's a fun fact that is not actually being asked in here, but I think if anyone wants to know, it's one of my favorite foods. Pizza is one of my favorite foods, and I love pepperoni pizza with Mike's Honey Hot. It's like a sweet and hot. It's so good.
So how does this help you in trading?
It's hot sauce because it like keeps your mouth on fire, and then you're like, no, I have no logic. I'm just messing with you. No, anyway, what was the question? I'm sorry. You lost me on the sauce thing. What's my secret sauce?
What's your secret sauce to help you get such a high win rate? Experience and practice.
Honestly, I wish I could say, but my win rate wasn't like this when I started, guys. Like, I was in the toilet with my win rate, like really bad. And then like, even when I got consistent, I think I was still probably hovering around the 60s, like, like the high 50s to 60s, which was enough to be consistent. But it takes experience. I've been doing this for years now and straight through. So like it really comes down to practice, consistency, and that's all I can say.
For new traders, which pairs are good to trade and which sessions? Thanks. Well, I'll take this one. So for Forex, it's a little bit easier to
Thanks, Christy. No, thanks,
My name
Christy.
is Chris T. Kins. No, but Forex is a lot easier to comprehend trend-wise than indices. Not to say you can't try indices right off the get-go. Feel free.
You shouldn't.
Be my guest.
No. Nope, don't do it.
Well, that's Christy, and she says no, so don't do it. No, but if you're trading Asian, try and stick to pairs like JPY, AUD, New Zealand. If you're trading London, GBP, Euro. If you're trading USD, CAD. Also, the major pairs, all the ones correlated with USD, and a lot of the JPY pairs, except maybe GJ, are very low in spread, which will help. So, like where you want to enter is where you'll actually enter. GJ, it might be, yeah, like I said, a difference depending on how volatile it is, and on some brokers. But yeah, that's my take on this.
Basically, he's saying the basic Forex pairs. Don't go to exotics because your friend was like, yo, check out. And you're like, no, don't do it. Just stick with basic Forex pairs. Learn the basics first. Understand spreads and understand lot sizes. Just learn all that kind of stuff and market structure and just like learning the very simple things you need to learn before you start trying to go out and like trade crazy stuff. Even the indices, I truly believe that you will not do well in indices if you don't understand the basics first. You're just going to struggle that much harder. I really feel like you sometimes set yourself backwards because you didn't take the time to learn the basics correctly first. And market structure is the same no matter what you're trading, and that will stay the same. Price action concepts will stay the same. Lot size, like well, the lot size get a little bit different, but you'll feel more comfortable with it. Like what Jay's saying also is correlating the pairs to the times where you're trading. That makes more sense because you're going to actually see movement, which you want to see it when you're learning. If you're sitting in a consolidated market, it's going to be like just a waste of your time, to be honest. You're just going to be wasting your time and you're going to get frustrated as a newer trader. So trade the markets that are actually moving at the time when you're sitting down the trade. So that way you can see some movement and really learn and like how the market moves.
Chris, what video of yours best illustrates how you trade breakouts?
I have a couple of them. I'll link them. There's two on my, this is not a showing podcast, but there's two of them. Stairmaster on my YouTube channel, and I also have a Happy Trail one. And I do believe I have like a basic, just like regular markup video where I show like RSI. That's an old video, but I show how I mark up. So I'll link those guys below for you guys.
Just look at the thumbnails. If there's a sneaker or a happy face on it, then those are probably the videos. Let's be honest here. So, because the 1 minute, 5 minute moves a lot quicker than the 1 hour plus time frames, is it beneficial to trade with the trend shown on the higher time frame or determine the trend on a lower time frame, say 15 minute, and trade that trend? Just be consistent. Pick one as your trend and follow it, and don't look at anything else. That's my...
I think that's the consistency thing is huge. I also think if in the 15 minute you see a really good, you can see like nice trending, that's fine to use the 15 minute if that's your like normal consistent time frame you're looking at. But if it's consolidating and you cannot figure it out, rather than just like making guesses, you should then have a backup higher time frame that you look at to say, well, what is that time frame then doing? So yeah, I would say 15 minute, if it's trending well, should be more than fine for 1 and 5 minute. But if it's not, you may need to look at the 1 hour and then decide what it's doing. But if you are ever doubtful about the time frames that you are using consistently, just stay out the market. It will move eventually and it will give you what you want to be able to see. If you are not seeing it, you are forcing yourself likely to trade at a time you shouldn't be trading. And that usually ends badly for people. So, yeah.
Well, what time frame is suitable for intraday traders?
So, this one we did answer on the live. This gets a little bit, I think that this depends on what you're trading. So, slower pairs, you potentially could even look at 5 minute as intraday trading because it might move pretty slow. But I think anywhere between 5 minute if you're on a slower pair and 15 minute on a slower pair. If you're trading something more like indices, you potentially are more looking at like, if it's a slow day, maybe 5 minute, but more like 15 minute, 30 minute. 1 hour would be my cutoff. So I think depending on what you're trading, it can fall somewhere between 5 minutes to 1 hour. Most people would say 5 minutes scalping, but I personally think some of the slower pairs could still be intraday trading. But,
I feel like people are going to resonate with this one. Why do the markets always go pear-shaped as soon as I start trading live? I'm thinking of changing my Discord name to the cursed one.
I feel that way about technology. Like when I try to use technology, it just like dies. So everybody kind of has this feeling, I guess, even with the market, like once you enter in, like inevitably it just moves opposite somehow. Like, then there's always that running joke, like, well, whatever you would do, just do opposite and you'd probably make, millions of dollars. And it doesn't really.
There's actually a lot of people like that. And I actually had that problem one time too. And what I did, I just started risking less on my first trade because everybody's like, my first trade always goes bad. And then I'm good at playing catch up, like being able to like bring it back like within the rules. And so I would actually like risk less on my first trade. And then if it would go against me, then come back to my original position. I would just add on the other risks that I normally do and be like, okay, well, that's not bad. I mean, if it goes my way, I make half as much as I would have, but it's like, well, that's a random occurrence that my first trade actually works out. But it's kind of an idea that you could potentially do.
It's a terrible idea. So do not do that.
I'm not a
What do
financial advisor. That's not financial advice.
That was bad advice.
All right, would
Test
you
test your
say?
strategy and make sure you have the edge. That's what you test your strategy. Make sure you have the
That's
edge.
all I'm saying.
Stick to your rules.
If you just feel like that first trade never works, I'm just giving you all an idea. So, Christy, would you say price action actually underpins everything else? No matter what strategy you follow, price action should always be a base question mark?
Absolutely. Yeah, I love price action. Love it. I think price action is the key to 90% of my success in my trades. Is that I am good at price action and technical analysis, and those are very important things. There is no magical indicator. There's no magic sauce. There's nothing. What did you call it? Magic sauce? Secret sauce. Sorry, there's no secret sauce. There's no secret sauce.
There's no hot sauce here. Sorry.
There's nothing like. There's nothing that you are. There's nothing you're missing here except that you need to be more educated and you need to practice it. So technical analysis and price action, and we have all of that available to you guys in the TTF community. So these are TTF people that we're answering. So you do have that available. I highly suggest using it. I know it's tempting to jump in and just like want to start trading, but you really need to do the pre-work that is involved in this before you start jumping into markets and trying to trade. Like if you don't understand what you're doing, you're going to get frustrated and you're just going to have to go back anyway. You just waste time. So like as somebody who's been there and has done that and lived that mistake, I'm telling you, like just do yourselves a favor. Learn the price action, learn the technical analysis first, learn basic market structure, learn all those basics, then go in and trade. So yes, 100% mean like my personal take on this is you have to know price action. Have to.
So this next person explained it very in-depthly, but I'm just going to summarize basically. They're asking, in a personal account with a $5,000 balance, your risk is 1% of that balance. Easy to grasp. However, if you are in a $100,000 funded challenge with a 5K trailing drawdown, so 5% trailing drawdown, you can only really lose 5K. Would you do 1% risk on the 5K or the $100,000 funded challenge? And so I'll actually explain this. So 5%ers actually was my first prop firm, and they had a 4% max drawdown. So instead of a trailing, it was a max. And so my problem here was the simple fact that everybody says risk 1%, but it's not always the case. Usually saying that is understanding that you have basically you can be able to lose 10 to 12,000, aka like 10 to 12%, which is now kind of the basis of things. But not all prop firms work like that. So 4% was me with 4%. So what I did was I looked at my back testing data, which you should do as well, and I saw how many trades I could lose in a row. And I think for me it was like 5 or 6 trades. And so I just rounded all the way up to 10. So I said, worst case scenario, I start off my challenge with 10 losing trades. And once I lose all those 10 trades, I lose that 4%. And so I was like, okay, how would I do that? And so 10 trades losing my account would be 0.4% risk per trade. And so that's how I kind of tallied it up for myself. And so you might have to do something similar for that. 1% with 5% trailing drawdown is a little hefty unless you have a very high win rate. I might not recommend that.
Yeah. So I feel like I risk 1% of my capital. So if I have a 100K account, I am allowed 10% drawdown. That's for me, that I'm giving my personal stuff. So I risk 1% of 100K. So I risk $1,000, for my trade. My dad, however, has a different take on this, which I think is funny, because he also does like funded stuff. And he feels, this is kind of the question. So hypothetically, again, in this case, the example they're asking, you have 100K capital, but your drawdown, what people argue is like, well, you don't actually have access to 100K.
Yeah, the actual monetary value of your
limits
account
you.
is lower.
Right. It limits you, the drawdown. So they feel that you only have 5. In your case, in this example for the person asking, it would be you only have 5,000 actually that you're trading, that you have real access to all of that 5,000. So the argument is that you should only risk 1% of that 5,000 then. And I 100% think if that works for you personally and that's your comfort zone, you should do it. Like I said, my dad feels that way. So, with him, where it's 100K and a 10K drawdown. So in his head, he's like, "Why I only have 10K to actually trade with?" So he trades much smaller, lot sizes and things like that than I do. But when you're talking about passing the challenge, I
That'd be
kind of fall
tough.
in the yeah, I kind of fall in the argument of that. I think that you need to probably really, data is important. Like Jay said, you need to really look at your data. You need to know what is your normal percentage gain. Is it feasible to do it if you're only doing the 1% of the actual available capital, not the overall capital? Likely that's going to be tough to do. So my suggestion is that I kind of fall in that middle ground when people say risk the 1% to get through your challenge. And then if it's okay with you and you're comfortable with like making like, whatever you make, risking smaller amounts because you want to stay consistent and you want to hold on to that account longer, by all means, go ahead and do that. But yeah, that's difficult when you're in the challenge because they put those goals, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a very personalized decision, and I think you've heard three different. My dad's different than me. Jay's different than me. Everybody kind of does it a little bit different, but all people who use funded accounts, so kind of falls into you and what you want to personally do for yourself. But it's all going to be in your data. The answers to that are honestly in your back testing and how you would go about doing it. So yeah.
I thought I saw something about the TTF releasing a multi-time frames markup indicator or something like that in
Oh.
December. Was this just a Christmas dream or did I really see it?
It was a Christmas nightmare. No, nightmare
You're
before
not wrong.
Christmas. It
You're
was.
not
No,
wrong.
no, no, no. No, it was actually supposed to be a gift from Sven. He was working on coding something for us, and we did try to do it, but then TradingView said we're in
We don't
trouble.
like
It
this.
makes us. Yeah, TradingView
Yeah.
said try again, guys. No, basically it was meant to be like just a support and resistance thing. It wasn't a magical indicator. Don't worry, you're not
No.
missing out
It
on
was
anything.
just a quality of life kind of thing.
It was, yeah, you still had to draw your own level. It wasn't going to draw the level for you. It was just to help you when you're going through multiple time frames, kind of thing. But unfortunately, TradingView will not allow us to use that script. So we have to go back to the drawing board with it. And it is on our to-do list, but because it was just meant to be a gifted thing. We will come back around to it hopefully in the spring. We have a lot of like behind the scenes things going on
Yeah.
right now, guys. So it's not really on a priority list just yet, but it is on the like next list to
I will say
revisit.
too, though, like just to give like tips on how to kind of still use this concept is, uh, Christy kind of does this too. Actually, change the color. She changed the colors of her lines. I still draw zones like boxes. I changed the color of my boxes, so I know that blue is daily for me. I know red is 4 hour. I know orange is 1 hour. I know yellow is 15 minute. So whenever I'm looking on a chart, I could just look at the color and I already know what time frame zone that's supposed to be. So like that's kind
Yep.
of an easy way of doing it. I don't like putting 50-minute zone, 1 hour zone, because then like all of the words get caught up if you're looking too high of a time frame. And so I just like to keep it with colors and I just kind of have a system where I remember what's what.
Yeah,
Christy.
personally I color code it, but just so you guys are clear, what Jay's saying, that's like I just want to make sure we're clear on it. You're not missing out on an indicator that was
No.
going to mark for you. That's all. So even when it does come out, it won't mark for you. It just kind of helps. It's just a convenience thing. It's supposed to help keep your levels for you a little bit color coded, like automatically done for you. But we'll revisit it again. We are coming back around to it.
So Miss
Yeah.
Christy, what's your what's your favorite indicator to use on the 1 minute?
You shouldn't
All of
trade the
them.
1 minute. No, just kidding. No.
All of them.
No.
Every single one.
It's not an indicator
Your
thing on
your
the 1 minute.
brain.
Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't. At the end of the day, you're going to get so many signals from any indicator on the 1 minute. So yeah, it comes into your brain. That's my favorite indicator. No.
Wait, can you share that script? You mind sharing that? Can you put that into a TradingView script? Thank
Oh,
you.
my brain? Yeah, right.
Yep.
Can you imagine? You guys would be lost at all the other things that go on in my brain. It wouldn't be worth it.
Can only imagine.
Nonetheless, nonetheless, I would say that, I mean, obviously I've worked a lot with Stairmaster, so I'm kind of biased because of Strategy Wars, and I was on 1 minute a lot with it. I don't think it's the only indicator though that would work on it. You're going to get a lot of signals, and I just think at the end of the day, your markups are what matter when you're on the 1 minute more than an indicator. It comes down to you and knowing how to do that like technical analysis and then reading the price action and truly understanding what's happening versus just like worrying about signals. So yeah, I don't have like a one favorite one for you to say.
Well, Christy, now I am from Japan and I want
Hello.
to trade indices, but I can't trade NAS or US 30 for timetable reasons. What other things or indices do you recommend to trade during Asian session? Well, I'm Christy now. And
Hi, Christy.
hey,
Hi,
Jay.
Christy.
Hey, Jay. So, that's okay if you can't trade US indices. Why don't you just trade Asian indices like Japan's indices, which is the JP 225, or Australia's, which is the Aussie 200, AUS
They have
200.
they have a 300 as well, and I think a 20 I saw. I don't know anything about the 20. I think
I
it's
think
like the US
I just
30, but
remember
it's
I
like
just remember 200, Aussie 200, but
I remember seeing
they
a
might.
20 and
Yeah,
being like,
there's
ooh.
there's options. There's options that you could definitely look for Asian indices. Each G7 country has their own indices. So,
Mm.
um, I'd like to know more legal stuff. Like once you take the money to your bank account, how do you declare this money like you're supposed to be self-employed as a trader or what? I'm a bit lost with this. It would be great to talk about this. Thank you. Well, kind of
I touched
going over that.
I touched on this a little bit. You will, depending on how you're trading, again, if you're with prop firms, they are going to send you a form. You are considered a contract. You get if you're in the US, you'll get a 1099 from them. If I don't want to get into it too much, you'll get a 1099 for them if they are a US based prop firm. If
Yeah.
not, you will not get this form, and it is up to you to declare your income properly. Um, Seek financial advice is what I was. Find a good financial advisor, guys. Pay your taxes. This is not any sort of advice, but if they are a US based prop firm, they will send you a 1099 as a contracted worker form,
Yeah.
and that's your tax form that is reported to the US. If they are based outside of the US, you are responsible to claim what you made from them. They will not send you an official like 1099 because it's not a US. They're not reporting to the US, so they're reporting to whoever they do, but you're still responsible to claim it. Again, goes back to the like, most likely you're going to claim either as a contracted worker or a sole proprietor, self-employed person. And once you get to a certain point, if you want to start expanding into LLCs and all that, like you will need to probably definitely get like a tax advisor or financial advisor or something like that to help you guys with that.
So, the liquidity concept, if institutions sweep some high liquidity to sell more accordingly, it makes a higher high in the opposite direction. How to distinguish these two situations?
So typically you're having a retracement. That's what you're talking about. Now you may retrace and you may sweep beyond what you marked up as a key level because that's what they do. They're going to sweep beyond just where everyone's marking for a key level. But still you likely are in a retracement of a even higher time frame. So if you're marking it and you say, oh, it broke through my level, as you're saying, and you're assuming it's a liquidity grab, and then it goes back down your direction and you're like, oh, I thought it was going to buy because it broke out because you're like a breakout trader. There are chances that if you look at a higher, not even chance, there's definitely a chance that when you look at the higher time frame, go up a couple of time frames, and you will look to the left, you will find where the liquidity sweep is. It may not have been on that time frame for you that it was sweeping, that it might have broke your level, but on another time frame, there is a liquidity sweep happening that they grabbed at that area. So my advice is to get comfortable with some multiple time frames here. If you're unsure what to do, is look at the higher time frame and figure out where did the sweep happen. The other thing is like kind of getting comfortable with the retracement levels of knowing like where they're at. It may have just blown through one retracement level and that's okay. And it might have just like wicked at another, grabbed the liquidity it needs, and then we'll go back down. we can give you guys some more information about imbalances too. It's something that we're going to be working on in the future, like
Yeah.
doing a little more in depth on that stuff because I feel like people are really into imbalances lately. So yeah, we'll definitely be covering that more for you guys. It is on our list of future content. But Roxy also offers a video on the website. In our community about imbalances. And I like how she explains it. I think she explains it in a nice simplified way. So check that out if you are looking for some more information.
Using your strategies, could you train a novice to trade the way you do?
Like currently? No. No way. No shot, guys. But do I think I could train somebody to do well? Yes.
Ignorance is bliss.
This is something Jay and I have talked about before. Yeah, I actually have been helping a little bit with somebody. I don't want to name drop them because anyway, but somebody in my own personal family. And I've been working with them. And yeah,
If
she
you
had no
don't,
clue
if you've
she had no clue
never,
what she was
if
looking
you've
at, but
never been
like,
in trading,
yeah.
then you've never learned bad habits or potential bad habits. And so whatever is like, whatever Christy is telling this person, it's like, okay, this is law. So like, I'm just going to follow it
Yeah.
because I don't know any better. But then once you start being like, okay, I'm going to take trading seriously and you start learning more concepts, then you start seeing more things. And so like those trades that you would easily take, you wouldn't notice like the divergence against you or like oh this is a level, but like I've always just, if everything lined up, I just took the trade no matter what. And so like that's kind of what happened to me in my first prop firm, to be honest with y'all. I didn't really know that much. I just knew my data and I played off of my data, and then afterwards I was like, I should probably learn more about trading. And then from there it opened just a can of worms for me, just like I'm literally canceling myself out on analysis and things of that nature. So ignorance can be bliss. So yeah, if you're brand new
Yeah.
coming into trading, it can be
Yeah.
easy at first, I will say, if given the proper guidance.
Yeah, we talked about this before. Actually, with Jinx, I talked about this. There is a study that we talked about, and it's in another podcast.
Yeah.
Where they did basically take a bunch of people and they teach them the same thing and tell them to follow it. And it's like the people who truly followed and that's all they knew and they didn't question, like they didn't go outside of it. They did well. They were still profitable. The people who tried to think too much into it, there's almost like, yes, ignorance is bliss. And we've seen this even in strategy wars with newer traders who would come in and they would just follow what they were told to do, and they've done well. Lemons, from the Discord, he was on with us. He was a really good in one of the podcasts, season 1 review we did. If you guys are checking out, in season 1, there's strategy wars video we did when Lemons was on, and that is who I'm talking about. He was brand new and he did like well with Outback. Another one was Josiah.
The first season, Lemons came on of Strategy Wars in August, but he was in TTF in July, and so he had joined, had no clues. Like, you know what, the Outback is like, I'm from Australia, the Outback makes sense, like down under, and then he just stuck with it, and like it's done great ever since.
In season 2, we had Josiah on. Also, again, you guys can watch that podcast, but it was also a newer trader and went into strategy wars, did brute force, and just kind of like when we asked like what he was doing, he was like, I'm pretty much just doing what you told me to do. And he did really well. So again, like sometimes it's ignorance is bliss, and then you start to almost overlearn where it becomes hard, and now you're like over analyzing.
Now you're contradicting yourself and you don't know so stick to rules and be objective to yourself. That's basically
so to go back to the question, can I teach anybody by doing what I like, just following what I no that's impossible. I have a whole different level of experience and knowledge, and you wouldn't learn it like that. Do I think though that there is an ignorance is bliss, and if you just follow the rules and almost like, yeah, I kind of do, I kind of see it sometimes, and I thought it was kind of interesting. Anyway, what I was trying to say is this person that I was kind of helping a little bit, she it was just funny because she had seen me trading and she was just like, well, you shouldn't, like, it literally just happened this past week. And she was like, well, why would you even take a trade there? Like, it didn't break that, like, I had a consolidation area marked up. She's like, well, you wouldn't take a trade there anyway. And literally, I probably spent all of like 20 minutes trying to explain to her, like, and that's all I spent. And I was like, oh my God, like, why can't everybody just do just follow that? Say it, was like in 20 minutes. Like, she knew, like, oh, well, I wouldn't take it because she doesn't even know to question why she should, like, would or wouldn't do it. And I thought it's kind of, there's a beauty in this ignorance is bliss thing. However, that will not get you anywhere long term. So anyway, that's our rant. There's sometimes this niceness to not overthinking it. And sometimes I think a lot of people, what happens is you become over analytic. Now you learn so many concepts and you don't know where to focus, and your mind is just like everywhere. It's like ADD for trading. You're just like, there's a fib retracement here, and then but there's a breakout here, and then there's a moving average cross here, and you guys are like throwing everything at your chart, and you don't really know how to separate what you actually want yet. And I think that that is pretty common. I mean, I also did it too. I had 1,000 indicators on my chart when I started, and like all of them would be telling you different things, and you just start losing yourself and what direction you should be going. So I think there is a beauty in simplifying things, and that's what we mean kind of by the ignorance is bliss, a simplification of it, and again, testing, following your rules, and eventually you will get there. Will you be at my level in 6 weeks? In 2 months? No, I wasn't.
Why
I
not?
wasn't. No, I mean, that's reality. You have to set realistic goals. Eventually, perhaps. I hope you all are better than me someday. But like, you have to be realistic with your goals and your time frames. So anyway, that's my rant.
So next question. Do you trade news, or would you advise us to stay away from the market during volatile conditions such as NFP and etc.?
I occasionally trade news, only if I'm very well versed in it and I have been following it that week. And I know like the outcome potentially of it. Otherwise, no, I don't trade news. I don't suggest you should trade news. If you're newer, you definitely should avoid it. And yeah, that's it. There's no other. You just sort of avoid news altogether until you're comfortable, unless you are very well versed in it, or you are truly a fundamentals trader and you know what you're doing. Otherwise, you should avoid it.
Do you ever combine signals from different strategies on the same chart? If so, which strategy to combine? Thanks.
People love this idea. No, I don't do like a hybrid thing. I have seen other people do it though. I have seen people mix them together, and it is something that once we're done some of these projects, I will start to look at. There's an intriguingness to a hybrid, but I have not done that. I don't know. They weren't developed to be hybrids, so I never really thought about it, but you guys love to put things on charts. So I will eventually look into it. I do think some of them maybe could work together. So we'll look into it in the future for sure.
You can't have too many emojis on one chart. So how is do you always use a recent market structure to place your stop loss?
Yeah, I do. Personally, I do. I already talked about this. I like market structure. I like price action. So I do use the market more than like a set amount. But yeah.
How is trading during Easter and summertime?
So I live somewhere where like Easter's one day and it's a Sunday. So it's not open. but I get what you're saying. During springtime and during the summer, it does slow down a little bit, maybe than in the winter, but it's not horrible. It moves. I mean, you can still trade. It's not like you can't trade during those months. Maybe a little less volume in the summer because there's like vacations and stuff like that, and banks have employees obviously on vacations. I don't know, market's a little bit slower, but there's still definitely volume there to be traded, especially if you're a day trader.
Can someone really make a living by day trading only? If yes, can you do it with indices, futures also? And also, can you make living by doing funded accounts only, or do you have to trade using personal money also? What do professional traders like you do in trading funded or trading with personal money?
First off, kudos to this person who had a 2-question limit, but put like 5 in one.
They know.
Kudos. Smart. You were clever. I like that. Also, all right. So let's tackle these. One, obviously, yes, you can make a living off of trading. I do that. That's my main income. I do have other side incomes, as you guys all know, but that's my main, like, that's the biggest income that I bring in is my trading. I exclusively pretty much trade indices now. I will dabble on the other things to show you guys. And I did used to trade Forex. So you can definitely trade Forex or futures. We've talked about this in another podcast. You can go check that out about the other markets. But I'm pretty exclusive these days with the indices. We have definitely been, in a thing for a few years now. So yes, you can exclusively trade the indices and be profitable in your career. As far as funded accounts go, this kind of goes back to the consistency thing. I do think that I think you can be a professional funded trader. I don't think you have to trade your own personal accounts. I think it is possible. I think though you need to be very good at your money management. And the reason I say that is because if you get an account taken from you, you potentially need to pass another account, which could take a month, 2 months, whatever your time frame is. It could take a couple of months even. So you need to be able to like know how to take your money and keep it and like manage it and not count on it like all the time as a constant. Like, so again, going back to using the prop firms to your advantage, but also be aware that like there's a chance that you may go through a lull where you might have like a month where you're not profitable on your strategy, or you might have you might get an account taken where you have to redo that. So be careful with that. I absolutely think it's possible. I know people who are profitable funded traders and they do it as their career, but you do need to be smart about your money managing of it. Don't count yourself as getting paid every 2 weeks or every month and assume you're always going to do it like a regular job, because it all depends on the market and your trading. So I mean, that's like with anything, but I feel like sometimes people have like a false sense of security with the funded accounts, and like thinking once you pass, you're going to get paid all the time, but it's not always like that. So just be careful with those. But yeah, definitely is possible to do that.
As someone who is in the early stage of their trading world, I like trading 1 minute on NAS with DeLorean strategy. Down the line, do you think I should be trading in the longer time frame also, or higher time frame also?
Yeah, I mean, you lost me at 1 minute on DeLorean, but I have a bias.
That's
Uh,
tough.
yeah, sorry, DeLorean. But you should be you should be starting on the higher time frames for real. Like that's the reality of it, and then working yourself to 1 minute. If you went vice versa, you took the hard route, and it's not impossible to do, but you are definitely going to have to struggle a little bit more because it is a lot harder to learn all of those basics and see them clearly on a 1 minute time frame. Moving up a higher time frame is easier. So yeah, I definitely think higher time frames are good. Jay's messed around with DeLorean on 1 hour, by the way,
It's actually not
and
bad.
not bad. So yeah.
Oh, this is a switch up. So, Christy, I'm confused about your strategies and literally feel bizarre about them. First off, I couldn't understand them really. And secondly, after applying all the settings suggested for each strategy, I feel like they're not working, and they should be. Your platform claims, quote unquote, it's like cheating, but I don't feel so. DeLorean, maybe the Stairmaster as well, gives signals when the right entry is completely missed, or gives opposite signals of what the market is about to take.
All right, so I just commented on DeLorean, but also the cheating thing is already, let me be clear, our website page does not say, if you go to like the actual trading floor, Artie's landing page likes to claim that, and Artie's a little bit eccentric. But let's go through this, unpack this a little bit. First off, you joined, welcome. If you are struggling a little bit with the settings, that's totally normal. And I'll be the first to admit that this is a big regret of mine. I think Jay would probably agree. These are some big regrets of ours. And in the redoing of the website, we are going to like put the settings to the archives, put them in the let them die section of the website. And the reason is because you guys rely on them. Like you think they're a Bible. You're like this is the religion and the holy grail. And they're not. They were suggestions that when we were testing, we found to be like better. Remembering that this was over a year ago now, and the market has probably changed. And like we haven't done that on purpose again to upkeep with set times and settings, because you guys were so fixated on only trading that. And then you were like not learning how to actually do stuff on your own, or learning how to like potentially look at other timeframes that would be better suited for you personally and during your times when you can actually sit down and trade. And it was actually backfiring. So we had done it as a convenience, thinking it would help some people, but it became honestly like the worst decision, like worst thing I think decision that we made was giving you guys any sort of help there. So my suggestion is to ignore them, to totally just disregard those. And I plan to make sure that it's pretty clear in the future that those aren't on there. So I apologize that that is like what you're seeing. But there are revamped and updated versions of the strategies on there. And that's what you should be looking at. And those use like more standard universal settings on purpose. So that way they will work with any session, any time frame. That way you personally can start working with them and for when you want to trade. So my suggestion is forget what the setting said, forget what session and times we said. Go watch the updated version of, but DeLorean has a lot of stuff. Honestly, forget DeLorean. That's my bias. I would say
Well,
forget
DeLorean has a
DeLorean.
manual version too,
But
and then
yeah,
Stairmaster has a revamp. So
yeah. So that, but DeLorean, honestly, it still be okay. But again, I feel like going back to like you really have no business on the 1 minute. It sounds like right now, and you have shouldn't be there yet. If you just joined, there's pretty zero chance that you got through all the content on the website. And I just don't think that you actually should be on DeLorean yet, which is why you're struggling. So one is forget about all those settings, and just focus on you. When can you actually trade? What session can you actually trade? And feel free to like message us too. I looked at your name on here, and I won't say it on the podcast, but I did look at your name, and I know you like haven't messaged yet at all in the Discord, and the Discord is huge for a resource. So please use the Discord too, so that way like we can help you. So like message us. There is the strategy support room. So if you like message in there and say like, hey, I'm from here. This is the session I can trade. This is the stuff I'm interested in trading. We can kind of like help guide you a little bit and like making a better plan for yourself and like push you in a direction of a strategy that would make sense for you. The other thing is you have to go through all the content. You need to learn all those basics. Like you can't just jump in and not know price action and not know, how to use like market analysis or how to use, like how to use the indicators properly. If you don't know how to use an indicator, if you don't know what the indicator is supposed to be telling you or doing, you're never going to do well. It's not a magical tool. So yeah, you need to learn all those. The roadmap on the website is phenomenal. Like go through all of that, use that. There's a ton of stuff in that price action course as well. I definitely suggest going through that. Then go in the strategy support. Shoot us like your time frame that you want to trade, where you live, what you want to work with, and then we can kind of push you in a direction of a strategy to focus on. And then what you're going to do is take all those concepts you learned, apply them, and then you can start looking at an indicator to help you for convenience. We are not an indicator company, and I want to like make that extremely clear. Like we do not sell indicators to you. We are not solely claiming that that's what we do. Like we're an educational company, and we give you the indicators as a convenience with some strategies to help you. But you are not supposed to be using just solely an indicator and thinking that you're going to make millions. You will be very disappointed if that's what you thought you were coming here for. So please do the educational stuff. Like I truly want you guys to learn it, because like that is your biggest thing. Then no matter what happens to us or whatever happens to you, you have the skill that you learned, and you now can do it anywhere. And you don't have to rely on just us or an indicator or something like that. So
yeah, the same person says strategy wars concept I can't really wrap my head around and understand completely. I'd appreciate if someone really pay attention to my concerns, because I've entered this platform with literally so many hopes I'm not getting anything out of it. Literally. Well, I also just checked too.
A lot of literaries, but I get it.
Yeah, so I just checked too. I see you're in strategy wars, and like Christy has said, you haven't messaged anybody yet. So please, like, reach out to people in the specific strategy that you're in the room that you're in, dedicated to that strategy that you're trying to learn, and ask for help. The process of strategy wars is just taking a strategy for a full month and actually trying your all for it. You might not be successful. That's why you're doing it on demo first, I hope. But it's about actually sticking to one thing for a full month and not just going over it for a day or two and be like, oh, well, that doesn't work. Let me try the next strategy, because it's probably not the strategy. It's you.
Yeah. And this season, we're holding you guys more accountable to your actual plans than we ever have, which doesn't seem to be a fan favorite, but I don't really care, because it means that you're being more honest with yourself. Yeah, you asked for it, and it means you're being more honest with yourself. So if you're getting frustrated by the plans, it's because you were probably trying to cheat yourselves, and you're welcome. But no, but yeah, that's the idea, is to kind of hold you more accountable to your plan and to your strategy, like Jay said. And if you don't understand strategy wars yet, that's okay. There's a lot of information out there. If you're new to the platform, you likely probably joined right before and joined in, and you just probably haven't had the time to really get through everything you're supposed to get through. So do take the opportunity to like really go through the content, like I said, properly, use the roadmap, go through the price action course, then go back into your DeLorean room. It sounds like you're probably in DeLorean, and talk to other people using it.
It might be one of those.
Oh yeah, I don't even know what team. I mean, you're asking about DeLorean. So if you're asking about DeLorean and you're on Stairmaster, you're definitely not following strategy wars correctly. But that's okay. You're in the community, but please do use the community, because it's very hard to help you and to get the maximum amount out of the community if you're not talking in the Discord or asking the questions, because we don't know you're struggling. If we don't know, you have to let us know. So we're always available. Just ping us in the Discord, and we definitely can help you a little bit here.
So this next question kind of went back to the one you had answered, is what should I do if I'm not getting a signal from the indicator during the trading hours shown on the spreadsheet in the data backtesting data for the specific setting I'm using?
These times, you guys kill me. I mean, the specific time you're trading, I don't know if that means that you have your own set times yourself. If you're not getting a signal, you didn't get a signal that day. I don't know what to tell you. You didn't get a signal. You don't force it. You just didn't get a signal that day. But as far as the times that we gave you, if you're like using that as like the only thing, I mean, I think that you should expand it a little bit. We gave an idea, and like I said, that was over a year ago. The market has changed since. We're not going to update those because it drives us insane, and you guys don't at all try to test yourselves, and you just rely on what we did. And I think that's a bad habit to get into. So we may not always be here. I will not live forever. And like, you know, Jay may not
Why not?
always be here. Like you're just saying, like you want to learn this for yourselves. You need to learn how to be a little bit more self-reliant. Like you can't just like, you know, be doing everything that we do. We can give you suggestions, but the problem is you guys don't actually go and test. So we're going to go back to testing. So go and test the entire session. Don't just stay locked into the time frames that we said. And I would say that you should test the settings that are more generalized, which is the updated or the revamps that we show on the website. And again, all of that is getting worked on to be a little bit more like organized in the back end. So give me like a few more weeks and the website should be more updated.
How many trades should I place per day to be profitable? Wrong questions.
Who knows? There's no right or wrong here. It depends on how many times in that day were your confirmations for your strategy met. If it was none, none.
It's
If
not
it
about
was,
the trades. Like,
yeah, it's not, there's
some...
no set number here. There is no right number of trades. It is the amount of times that you had all of your criteria that were met. And that's it. You can't
and
force
your plan.
trades. Yeah,
Whatever you
and you're
made your
playing.
plan.
Yeah. Yeah, you cannot force trades though, guys. Like you cannot make the market do something that is not doing. And then when you're entering in, it's a bad idea. Like you're just going to get frustrated. So that's like I don't want to say a set number of trades because you're gonna be like, well, Christy said 5 trades. Like that makes no sense. It has to be when your criteria and your plan are met, you enter in. If there were 0 that day, there were no trades that day. If there were 5 potential entries that day, then there were 5. And it depends on your winning rate and your loss stuff that you kind of go with there. But yeah.
Speaking on that number, how many trades do you usually take per day, Chris?
You guys are so funny with these questions. All right. I don't even trade every day typically. During strategy wars, I do. I make an effort to do it for strategy wars, but I don't trade every day otherwise. I tend to trade more like 2 to 3 days a week. And even before I did all this TTF stuff and everything else that I do, I still didn't trade every day. I always kept Mondays off. I don't like Mondays personally, and for me that was my plan. Like I just never traded Mondays. I have nothing against Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, but it would just kind of be my life and like how I like planned my personal life around it. And I would plan to trade usually 3 days a week, but with things have gotten busier, so sometimes I'm like 2 to 3 days. But yeah, I trade 2 to 3 days, and it depends on the signals. Like if I get the signal that day, great. A lot of the times though, I do still look at the market. Like I'm always watching to see if there's a setup potentially happening. But I don't take the trade just because I see a setup. I wait until it's confirmed. So if my confirmation for my alerts and everything comes through on a Tuesday, then it comes through on a Tuesday. If it didn't happen on Tuesday, then maybe it's a Wednesday I have to wait till. Like there's no right or wrong with this. So yeah. I
Do
wish
you
there was a better
trade
answer.
multiple strategies?
Yeah. I do. I do because I teach them. And even if I didn't, I think at this point, I think I would still keep, I always kept 2. I always had like a quicker type of scalping type of strategy that I would keep around or I'd use that would be working with and like modifying. And then I really like 15-minute for like intraday trading, sometimes 1 hour. Those are usually my like go-tos. So
Maybe
yeah,
basically like a funded challenge passer and then like a chat like a
like it's
basically
just
an
an
account
everyday type.
maintainer
Yeah.
kind of
Well,
vibe.
Jay thinks like funded challenging like that. I don't think that way because it didn't come. But yeah, I always kind of keep at least 2, even if I didn't do this. I would probably have 2. I have a backup one, and then like I don't know, like I have like a go-to one, and then maybe like a backup one. Um, but I do trade multiples. That's the reality because I teach them, so I have to know them. So and I have to show them. So yeah.
Hi again, Christy.
Hi.
There are 5 strategies on TTF. Most of them are on the 5-minute chart on NAS, but I also hear I should start on higher time frame and avoid NAS 100 for now. Small amount on demo. Where should I start my trading journey? NAS, Forex, etc.
I think Forex. Personally, we kind of already talked about this. I do think the higher time frame, 1 hour is a nice time frame to learn them. You
This
can
goes
go
back to the
lower.
back testing thing as well. Just because
You
we
can,
back tested
yeah.
doesn't mean like it's not good.
Yeah. So we backtest because we backtest what the most common stuff is, but also, we're a little bit limited on manpower because we physically have to mark up everyone, and all of our staff has other jobs too and stuff like that. They're actual traders. So we have, and when we first initially release it, like we confirm that it will work on a basic pair. Our basic pairs would confirm it'll work on indices, and then we'll confirm crypto, usually like Ethereum or something like that, or like a gold. Like we'll throw one of them in there. So we'll confirm that they work on multiple different types of like assets or pairs. But then the consistency of what most people like to trade will just continue to test that one monthly. But yeah, that's kind of goes back to, it's still, just because we only test it doesn't mean it doesn't work on other things. So don't religiously only follow what we've tested. Like what we
You
tested is
still need to do
good,
your
but you
testing, and
need
so
to do
like if
your
you
own
have a favorite
testing.
pair, try it. If it doesn't work, so be it. You did not get to lose money on it. Congratulations, you got to see in testing that wouldn't prevail. But it's almost like this person knew our answer, because then they say, I would like to trade Forex. I looked at Happy Trail. There were no settings for a Euro USD, a very big pair, but I don't see anyone trading this pair. Is there a reason to avoid this pair? Like our answer before, we can't trade everything, or we can't test everything. It's just too many things possible. But there's no reason why it can't work. Mark up
If
simple
you,
levels.
yeah, sorry, if you're testing it and you find that maybe you're like, oh, I don't know what to do here or whatever, test it all out, put in your journal, link it in hashtag strategy support in there, show us what you're working with, and then we can help you like make modifications. Maybe there's like a setting that we could tweak for Euro USD or something. That's where we can help you. But we can't like to just blankly put out something for you right now. Like it's kind of hard to do that. We got to see what you're doing because there could be multiple things that like maybe need to be tweaked. But definitely test. If you like Euro USD, it is definitely considered the beginner basic friendly pair, the simplest one. That's like a lot of people go to. It's the most popular trade in Forex, pair to be traded in Forex. It's the highest volume one that's traded. And then, yeah, there's nothing wrong with Euro USD. We just don't get a lot of requests for it. And that's it. You could mark it up. If it works for you, great. If you're having problems or you're like, I'm kind of like on the fence with it, put in strategy support. We can help you tweak it a little bit.
What is the best way to determine if the market will be ranging that day?
Yeah, this goes back to like the best 1 minute indicator of your brain. No,
Your
you have no
eyes.
clue. You have no clue if it's going to be ranging that day. You can mark up your zones. I would mark up the support and resistance, mark your high and your low, and just see like has it been pinging through there. If you're not sure, again, go up a higher time frame and see, oh, is the higher time frame the thing that's consolidating and ranging? There's no way to, you're not going to be predicting this. You are not weathermen and women. You don't need to predict like that. Jay has a
And
whole different
still be
feeling on that.
wrong.
Jay has a whole different feeling about weather people, but we won't get into it. But you are not those people. You don't need to predict it. You are just waiting for the market to confirm a move, and then you will take that move once it confirms it. You don't need to predict. You can have a bias on a higher time frame, but you still are always going to be waiting for the actual confirmation. So you don't know if it will range all day. You can just mark a high and a low, and you wait to see what's happening. And if it is ranging, it is ranging. It will just be ranging. That's it. But you can't predict if it's going to range potentially. You can suspect maybe off a big movie. Like those are things like I was gonna say, like I guess with the move that happened on NAS, we did suspect like, oh, it might range after and consolidate after a massive move. Like just happened this week. But still, again, you just don't know. There's no way to say it's going to range today. We don't know that. You just mark your high and your low and wait to see what happens.
I'm currently trading brute force with the STC and AO, as mentioned by yourself and Jay. I'm looking to add a couple confluences in my trading, and I'm a bit stuck. A backtest with the EMAs 250 and 21, and I'm looking for another confluence or confluences to help my win rate go from 45-50% to 50-60 using 1.5R. What do you recommend and what do you use? I'm trading the 5-minute currently on NAS.
Okay. So 45 to 50% with 1.5R isn't terrible. You're still profitable. Not the greatest profitability, but you're profitable. However, Artie just did a video about this, so you guys can check it out. So he did the video on the 10th of March, so you guys can check out that video. And he shows how you can trade the breakout of Tokyo/London when like NAS is consolidating. And this is something that Jay and I also talked about in a live on January 26th or 27th. You guys can find it in the live recorded
Yeah, live
section on there.
recordings.
I'm not sure if it was the 26th or 27th. I'm sorry, but it was one of those days you will see Jay, Christy, brute force, and we
brute
talk
force
about
tips, tricks, or something. I don't remember the.
yeah. So watch the video Artie did, and definitely see what he's doing because he will show it to you a much shorter time frame for those of you who don't want to waste your time. If you're interested in knowing more about it, we talked about it then, and that's kind of the idea that Artie's been working with, where I was like pointing out how there's this breakout from a Tokyo session, London session, and then when NAS finally opens, usually you'll see like some sort of break, and then if you're doing that with the signal, you can potentially do better, and the STC, which I do like that. He shows the oscillator on there as well, also optional. So you guys can definitely check out that video. I think it could help you a little bit. He's been doing it in brute force for strategy wars and has done well. So.
Well, I will say too, there's a chance that you might already watched ours and found out about the SCCAO. You might have already watched our live. So what I actually recommend is just kind of patience and drawing some levels. And so like what I've done, you can see in the markup board on a previous trade that I did, it was only on price action. But since you're on NASDAQ, just marking up the high and low of all of New York session is pretty good confluences. And like you can use the previous days during that week as well to like use as levels. So like playing off of those levels with rockets in your confluences could help as well. Less trades, but it'll probably be more quality in the end.
Yeah, would help filter.
Next thing this person asks is, what strategy would you recommend to pass a funded account challenge? The problem I have is that my profit varies from month to month, and I struggle to consistently make 8 to 10%.
There's no one strategy. People love this question. Love it, love it, love it. It's your favorite, one of your favorite questions asked. There's no right or wrong answer. It's what works for you personally. If your strategy is profitable, that's great. That's fantastic. If it's consistently profitable, most strategies aren't going to consistently make you 8 to 10%. That's the reality of it. That's if you made that much all the time consistently, like you hit the jackpot of trading, and congrats, because imagine what you would be making with some of these funded accounts in the capital.
You'd be stacking a lot of accounts, yeah.
You would be. But the reality of it is you need to make that to pass a challenge, which is a whole nother gripe we could go into in a different conversation. But you need a set amount. My suggestion is to look at your data. This is, again, where we will go back to data and say, what does your data consistently give you? If you know you consistently every month are making at least 5%, I'm just throwing a number out, but say you make 5%, but you're like, but I don't make the 8%, but I always make at least 5%. Then you could look at your numbers and now think about, like, do you have this, just to pass your account challenge, like, do you have so many losses in a row? If you have very little losses in a row, or you can limit the losses, you may need to potentially look at upping your percentage. And you would say, well, now you need to risk 2%. Make sure you're making sure your losses are okay, that you wouldn't blow your account, but you would like risk 2%. Because if you were risking 2% and you consistently always get at least 5% in a month, you're now going to make 10% and you're going to pass. Do it just to pass. You should go back down to your 1% once you do pass. But you could do things like that and play with it. I think Jay had a view on this.
I also add one thing to you, since you brought up that if you're 5% consistent, so let's say you are, you're forgetting the fact that you can get an extension on the account if you're at 5 or 6%, to where they'll be like, okay, you're close, so like we'll extend you to let you go, and so you just keep consistently doing that 5 to 6% each month, and you'll end up passing that first phase because they'll probably give you a 2-3 weeks extension potentially. So that's an idea too.
Or even if you're not 5%, if you're not that close, the extensions are good. So not to cut you off, Jay's right on the extensions, but even if you're like, well, I only make 2% consistently, again, you're going to have to figure out your losses to your risk percentage or whatever. But even if you don't make it, because that month's just like a rough month for your strategy, that's okay. You get the free retries. Keep taking the free retries until that good month for your strategy hits. It kind of sucks. But again, like, don't go deviating from your strategy. It's still profitable. It's just not the goal that they want you to make. So you can play around with your data a little bit there to pass, but I think really going back to looking at your testing is the key there to figure out, like, how can you manipulate it a little bit to pass the challenge.
So I'm going to read this next one as correctly as I can. So Christy,
you make me nervous when you say things like this. I'm
Christy,
like, oh, no.
Thanks a lot for your
you.
teachings. When did you start trading, and what's your story?
Oh, just go watch podcast episode 1. I talk about it. Me, Artie, and Brutus talk about it. I think I'm like 40 minutes in. I get into my story. And then you can end there because then Jay goes into his. So I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Fair.
I think it's around the 40
Fair.
minute mark that I
Yeah, I
go
think you
into
went
kind of my
third
story.
because Artie was first, and then Brutus, and then you, and then I think I quickly kind of just glanced over mine. But
Yeah.
she was
But
probably
yeah,
40
but
minutes
the
or so.
podcast number 1, it's still on my YouTube. So if you found, well, actually, if you're listening to this on iHeartRadio or something, would go to my YouTube channel. If not, and podcast number 1, you will hear my story, or you could just listen to it. Actually, that's a listening one. But episode 1, the very first one that we did, that's where I talk about it.
Do you
And Jay's too.
use any oscillators / indicators that are more beneficial than the RSI? Would you recommend divergence indicators?
Yeah, I really like these people who sneak like 2 questions into one. I really like them.
How rude.
RSI, the stochastic RSI is an oscillator, and I like the Stoke RSI just a little bit better. That's a personal thing for me, but I know some people find it frustrating to work with. But it's an oldie but a goodie from me. The oscillators, what I will say is that everybody kind of has their own favorite, especially here in the community. So TTF actually made an indicator. It's a free indicator you guys can find on TradingView, and it's called the Any Oscillator by the Trade Floor. And you will find all of our favorite oscillators on there. So you can definitely check that out. And that would give you the ability to have access to a bunch of indicators in one indicator, and they're all oscillators. But me personally, I like the Stoke RSI. I don't know. Jay, do you have a favorite? He's not really an oscillator guy, I don't think. Like, anyway, but yeah, any oscillator.
Whatever
kind
works.
Could check out the any oscillator indicator, and you'll see like some of the ones that other people like. Divergence indicators. I don't really feel strongly
of
about
whatever
them.
like you like, because sometimes all like for DeLorean, for example, the TSI and the ultimate oscillator like always line. Sometimes they always line up, sometimes they don't. Stoke RSI could be good, but some people can't see the Stoke RSI divergence as good as like a TSI, or like it's just personal preference at the end of the day.
For the divergence indicators though, I don't actually like them. That's my honest opinion. I think they kind of lag a little bit. Yeah, I think they kind of lag. I know there's some that say that they're forward leading indicators. Again, I don't know. I think if you test one and you like it, go for it. I don't have a personal opinion on it. I also don't trade, not that I don't understand divergences. I do look for them on my Stoke RSI as like an additional confirmation sometimes if I'm looking for that extra like oomph to like give me a decision in something. But I'm not a religious divergence trader, so I'm not the best person to ask about this. I feel like somebody in DeLorean would be better suited to answer this question. Or I don't know, Jay, do you? I don't think you really have a divergence indicator either. We draw them ourselves. We spot them ourselves, which I do think is important to do. Roxy has videos though on the website that do talk about divergences, how to spot them, how to do it yourself. And I definitely think you should check that out because I think it's important. Your indicator, again, is only as good as the trader using it. So if you don't understand if it's a divergence, the indicator might mark it as a divergence, but you need to be able to confirm, is that really a divergence? You shouldn't just solely rely on it. So check out her videos for that.
I'm adding these 2 questions because it's basically the same answer. So can you guys please optimize strategies for crypto? Also, please put some focus on crypto. Can you talk about correlations of sessions with crypto?
I'm going to defer all of this to Artie and Brutus. I would love to do a little bit more with crypto, but the reality of it is I'm not a crypto trader, and
I'm just
I
a
feel like
long-term investor. I don't really take it all that seriously from day to day.
I'm long-term investor too. I've talked about it multiple times. I like it. I understand it. I am a believer in it in long term, but I just don't day trade it. And I don't want to be a hypocrite and tell you guys, oh, go trade this strategy when I personally don't have any reference for it and would never use it. So I have to defer you to Brutus.
I think they can potentially work.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, I think I have to defer you to Brutus or to Artie when it comes to the day trading crypto thing. And I think Brutus even recently has kind of taken more of the stance, like he's more into the long-term holding of crypto and has kind of fallen out of the day trading of it. I could be wrong, double check with that. But I don't really think it's a good, I don't know. I think it's so volatile and it's a little bit easily manipulated. And
also our
I'm just
crypto
not a big fan
channel is can be pretty popping sometimes.
Yeah, crypto channel. Actually, I was going to say, good. Thank you. There are some people though who are really into crypto in the community, and just because I don't like talk about it personally doesn't mean there aren't great resources or people or other traders in the community. So crypto channel is a really good one, but I will definitely put it on the list to look into. But it probably won't come from me just because I feel like I'd be dishonest and it's not very genuine if it's coming from me. I don't actually trade it, and it wouldn't be as good as it coming from somebody who really understands it enough to teach day trading of it. But yeah.
What's your favorite setup? The entry for you personally. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and being such an inspiration! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Exclamation point!
3 of them. Oh my god, you guys, you
Kind of,
spoil me. No,
kind of a big deal.
that was really sweet. Thank you. My favorite setup. I mean, I talk about like I'm a breakout trader. Like I like breakouts, but I do like a good break, a clean breakout and retest is like really satisfying
Oh,
for me. Yeah.
butter.
Yeah. It's like really, it makes me feel like really warm and fuzzy inside. Like that's like my favorite because I'm like,
That's the hot sauce.
like,
That's the hot sauce we
yeah.
were looking for this entire podcast.
Yeah, yeah. I do. I mean, because
Finally
that
got
just
her.
to me means that you're not grabbing liquidity. It's like a real, a confirmed like breakout retest. So I do enjoy a good, nice, clean breakout retest setup. I've talked about it before. I mean, I do dabble in all the time frames, but I am a sucker for the 15-minute. If I'm just living my normal everyday life, I love a good 15-minute chart. It's like calm enough, but like signals come through. It gives me time to kind of get in the trade and like really think about it. Like I really do like, that's my favorite. 15-minute breakout retest. Ooh, yeah, that hits the spot.
Patterns, Christy, patterns. I don't understand them. Will a morning star pattern have the same value on the 15, 30-minute time frame as on the 1 hour time frame or higher?
Ooh. The higher time frame pattern, trend, whatever, is always the stronger. However, the lower time frame could just be the beginning of that move. So you should take the higher time frame, what it was, Morningstar in your example, as the stronger confirmation. If you got a Morningstar on the 15-minute and a Morningstar on the 1 hour, that's fantastic. If you got it on the 1 hour and you were thinking like, well, I'm looking for a potential entry on the 15-minute, that's a good confirmation. I mean, there's no right or wrong here. I don't want to confuse you. I feel like I'm making it more confusing. The 1 hour is always the higher trend, stronger potential for the overall move. But that doesn't mean a 15-minute wouldn't just be as good. It could also just be the beginning signs of that move getting ready to play out on a higher time frame. So there's no right or wrong. Just know the higher time frame will likely give you a larger move overall for a longer amount of time. Patterns are difficult, and my suggestion is to definitely, I mean, there's so much free resources on this. There's like YouTube videos you guys can go watch, and you can just go watch like a nice, long, boring video. There's some out there, and I watch them. They're like 40 minutes to an hour plus about learning the patterns, but I highly suggest
I
doing it when
can't
you have time
imagine
to
getting to
really.
this point an hour plus into our podcast, long and
Well,
boring, right?
there's a lot of stuff in here, but yeah. But yeah, if you guys can make it through this, you can make it through one of those. But I really do suggest it. Sit down with your little notepad or whatever. You could get a pattern chart. They sell them. You can buy them like on Amazon, stick it on your office walls or wherever you trade. So like if you're ever unsure, you can just look up and see a pattern chart. I definitely think it is important to understand patterns because they print and they tell you a lot. Candle patterns are really important. So yeah.
Chris, how do I choose a strategy? Just pick one and stick with it? Question mark.
Yeah. Next question. No, just kidding.
I mean, it's really that's the basis of strategy wars too. It's actually taking the time and just pick one and stick with it. See if it actually works. Give it a full
stick
month.
with it for a decent amount of time. You don't have to stick with it forever and be like, this doesn't work, but stick with it long enough. Yes, like Jay said, to give it a real honest try. Journal it out, track what you're doing with it, and then go back and look at the end and be like, what's going right, what's going wrong. You'll know pretty quickly into it, even if you give it a month, if you just feel like you're just not identifying with this, like it's just like none of this makes sense, you don't like it. And if that's the case, then you can move on. But you have to really give something a chance. You have to really get enough data for yourself, collecting it in your trades and like history to understand of like, will this work for me? Where am I going right? Where am I going wrong? And then you make those adjustments and those tweaks and you go back again. But if you do like a strategy and you feel like you're seeing it when other people do it, but like you're struggling with it, it really is about consistency and sticking with it. And I really do highly suggest journaling out. If you guys journal out, you can always share with us what you're doing. Just like journal it, put it into your little thing, and then share the journal and write out a little blurb about what you're doing in strategy support. And then we can actually see what you're doing and we can kind of help you. But we can't help you if we don't know what you're doing. So you do have to journal it. So But yeah,
I like
that's
to
my
quickly, I like to give this little analogy of like school and like college. Like understand that
I'm
whenever you're
always
trying to do,
nervous when you're like, I'm gonna give an analogy. I'm like, where are we going?
but you just gotta understand, like whenever you're trying to strategy, you're trying to make money. Okay. And then whenever you go to college to learn for 2 to 4 years, apparently, if it's associates or bachelor's, you're at the end of the day, you're learning a skill in order to make money. And you don't go to college for 1 or 2, well, hopefully not. You don't go to college for 1 or 2 days and then be like, well, this ain't for me. I'm switching to another college. It's like,
But I still want to make money.
but I still want to make
Yeah.
money. It's like, or like I gave it a full month. Oh, it's not working. I'm just gonna switch degrees, and like you just keep switching degrees. Like if you put that mentality on it, it's like that person's dumb. Like make up your mind. But here, like you potentially are looking at it for 2 days, like, ah, no, that's not it. Let me go switch to another thing. While like a thing like in college, like it takes 4 years in order to build up your skill set potentially in degree, but people make the logic that like you don't really learn everything, like you learn everything on the job, but still it's like college takes 4 years for you to potentially make money, and here you are spending 2 days on a strategy, like, ah, that's not for me, let me just try the next thing. It's like you got to put some effort into it, and it takes a little bit of time.
I think the idea of what you're trying to say, if I can simplify this, is that yes, you can switch degrees, meaning switching strategies, but the more often you're doing it, the longer it's going to take you to finish school because you're going to have different criteria. You're going to have different courses that you have to take for that degree. You're going to have different things you have to do. So you're just delaying yourself graduating and finding that, diploma you want, right?
You're
That's the
such a
same
good
thing with trading.
interpreter.
The same thing you're doing with trading. The more times you are jumping around and the more times you're switching and you're not staying focused on one, the longer I feel like what you're trying to say is you're delaying the inevitable for you to become profitable because you're constantly jumping around. So you're just delaying yourself even longer instead of staying focused and just reworking what you can. But we're not trying to say to stay in something you're miserable in and that you're like,
Well,
I'm
yeah.
lost. If you are lost, just, you got to switch. You got to find something that is clicking for you. But if you find something that you resonate with and you're like, this looks great, I love it, I understand it, and then you have 2 losses in a row in the first 2 days you try it and you're like, trash. Like that's not trash. That just means that you probably need to stick with it a little bit longer and really see how it plays out.
I'm just kind of in the mentality of that, like people are used to things taking years in school, but like assume that in finances they should be able to do good in a month comparative. So like it's
I
like
agree.
you gotta separate. You gotta like at least think the same exact way. You can't just like think I'm gonna just jump into this and in a month I'm gonna be good.
No, I 100% agree with that. I
So
think that's, we talked about that. If you're not here for the right reasons, you're not in the right
yeah,
mindset
we've
with the
gone over that in
longevity.
podcasts. Like yeah,
Yeah.
y'all can look in the recent
Yeah.
podcasts about that. How do I transition out of demo when I've lost respect for money starting over all the time?
Join the club. Just kidding. No, just kidding. I would say that is tough. That is tough because you do kind of get to this like place mentally. I would think that if you are finding the demo is becoming you're just like a demo warrior, but then like you go to live and you're just, I don't know, maybe you're having some analysis paralysis or you're kind of like stuck in that weird limbo, which can happen. Start extremely small, like to the point where you're not going to lose a ton of money. Make sure it's money that you can definitely afford to lose. Don't like, risk the house on it. Make sure you're only risking like, I don't know, maybe for you, you can say, oh, I have an extra $100 this month and you can comfortably lose that money. Start very small and just get yourself back into the live market where money is real again to you. Not like
Yeah.
if you're feeling you're kind of lost in that demo world where you're not taking it serious enough. And that does happen to people at times. So yeah, my suggestion is use a small account just to get yourself kind of like transitioned back into the live market and getting your confidence back up with live money. And then, you can kind of start working your way up.
Can you guys make a video about pivoting?
Sure. You want to be bored to tears? We got you.
I'd say less.
The one person who will view that video.
Hold Christy's beer. She got you.
Gotcha.
Every time I think I got it, a couple losses take me back to where I was. Then again, start feeling that I know nothing, and no matter what I do, it takes a while to get back to normal for a day or two. Then the whole cycle repeats itself. Welcome to trading.
Again, yeah, this goes
Welcome
back to
to trading,
one.
man. Take your order.
I don't know, Jay. Let me think on this one. You want to maybe I feel
Happened to
like
me recently. I mean, it happens. Like it subsides. Like it'll never go away. I'm sorry to tell you this, but let me be completely honest.
yeah, I think
You
that's
will
I'm trying to think of
always
a
feel
nice way to
like
say
you.
that, but
No,
you
I'm
just
not. I'm not gonna
said it in
feel.
a not nice way.
I'm not saying it nice. This
No.
feeling is never gonna go away because as humans, we were conditioned that losing is terrible and you're a failure. When in trading, it is just a lesson that you need to learn. Losing will never feel good. It's not supposed
Yeah.
to because you're potentially losing money. But in the same aspect of it, you need to make sure that you're not risking money that like you potentially need for like groceries or gas or anything. You
Hmm.
always risk what you're willing to potentially lose. And so I've always tried to like not celebrate my wins as much so that my losses don't feel as bad, which helps. But like it kind of it's like, okay, well, I'm trying to be a
Yeah.
robot when everybody's human. But it'll start to subside with experience and time, but there'll always be personal things that come and prick you. Like I kind of had some problems a couple days ago where it's just like I brought in personal things into trading when I shouldn't have, and I just like kind of lost all concentration. And it happens,
Yeah.
but it's never going to go away. I'm sorry, but you'll slowly learn in time how to minimize it. I guess is a good way to put it.
Yeah. That's yeah, I feel like I didn't want to sound harsh about it, but that's the reality. It doesn't ever go away. I wish it went away from me. But it's still good. It still happens for me too. I get frustrated all the time. We're human, but you really need to master the emotional control, and that takes time. I've talked about this before. I think 10% of trading is learning, and 90% is mental psychology,
True.
emotional control, because that's the battle that you are constantly having to fight through. I think if you can work through that, you'll get there. There's ups and downs all the time. I would just say try to stick with it. Again, go back to the being persistent trait. You know what? Like you might be down right now and feeling kind of overwhelmed or like unsure, but it happens to all of us. We all go through our ups and downs. Like Jay just said, he's kind of going through a little bit of a rut right now and his like emotional stuff that he was like dealing with his trading. And I think the other thing that I was really hard on him about, because I'm nice to all of you guys on camera, but I'm a tough love mentor. And I was tough loving him. And I was like, you got to take self-accountability. You sat down to take those trades at the end of the day when you know you shouldn't have. And I think that that's a big thing too. And I'm big on this for myself is you never learn from your bad habits if you are always pacifying your brain and saying it's okay, it was this fault or this or this or that, it was everyone else's fault but your own. But at the end of the day, you took those trades, no one else took those trades. And if you
Sure.
broke your plan, you broke your plan. And if you didn't follow a rule, you didn't follow the rule. You can blame all the other things going on around you, but unless you have a cat like I had that sat on your computer and it took your trades for you,
It
like
was an
I don't want to
imaginary
hear it.
cat, Chris, so like you wouldn't understand.
Right. I don't want to hear it. You took it. So you have to take some
Yeah.
accountability for this. And you have to say, you know what? I did mess up, because you will never grow as a trader until you learn to do that. Until you say, I messed up. Where did I go wrong? How can I fix what I did? How can I learn from this experience? Because I don't want to repeat it again. Because if you don't do that and you deflect all the other reasons and blame everyone else, you're going to just repeat it. It's insanity over and over and over, expecting a different result. But you'll find another reason. If it was this reason today, it's this reason tomorrow, and that, and that. You will always deflect. Your brain needs to learn you did something wrong so
Yeah.
that way you can fix it. So,
So,
yeah.
Christy, I have a very exciting thing to tell you. We have made it to our final two questions.
Oh, thank
Does
God. The viewers
TTF
are like, Jesus.
does TTF have any plans to expand course content and how-to videos on trading futures directly on TradingView or NinjaTrader? I'm familiar with everything MT4 and charting on MT4, but don't have any idea on how to set trades and never touched NinjaTrader.
There's a lot going on in that question. So here, let's just break down. Yes, we're going to be expanding content. We always are. Like we kind of already said a little bit, we touched on it. There's a lot of back end things we're kind of working on, just like fixing and revamping stuff. So there's a lot of like side projects we're doing, which has kept the staff kind of busy doing those, versus like doing courses, because we front loaded a bunch of courses for you guys. If you were here in the summer, a bunch of courses were coming out. We front loaded them up until Christmas, and then we knew we would switch gears for a couple of months to doing things like website, and we're working on some like new data things. We're working on some new indicator stuff that all takes time for us to get out to do it right. But that just distracts our staff from doing the course content. But we're always making content. We're just kind of in that preparation phase right now for getting it out. and talking about like who can do what and stuff like that. So things are definitely being worked on. As far as your specific question about futures, that is mostly Roxy, and she is also a genius when it comes to websites and things like that. So she is kind of currently busy with me on the website working on that, but the goal is to have that done by April, which would put her into like a May, June timeframe to maybe start recording content for futures. But the plan is absolutely to expand that. It always was for her. We left it that way on purpose. It's just we've been caught up pretty busy with doing like things since then. So she will definitely be making it. And I do believe it probably will be late spring, early summer when we look to start getting some more future stuff for you guys.
Speaking on
Your
futures, does
question,
TTF have any
yeah.
plans to do prop firm reviews or comparisons, including futures prop firms?
As an official company, no. Here's the reason is because then like it gets this weird stuff where like people don't like their names being said, and we get in trouble for talking about them. You know, it gets dicey, guys. Or people think that we're taking affiliates in that way, and that's something that we've been pretty strong about not doing, is like just having one firm we work with for like monetary like you know increases or whatever that they might offer, and we don't do that. I'm very strong on not allowing that in the community, because we tell you guys can't do that in the community, so we shouldn't spam in the community. I think it's really hypocritical to do that. So I purposely keep that real. I'm very strong and adamant with everybody in the community, all the other guys and even the staff, that we can't do that. So I purposely never take affiliates with them, but we could definitely do a real review. I can do a review. We can do a comparison and contrast on a podcast, I think. I don't know. I gotta look into this. I gotta look into the legal stuff of this. My thinking is we can. Yeah, my thinking is maybe we can. I would like to do it. I know we talk about certain firms. We'll talk about certain names. I don't know if I'm allowed to give honest negative feedback about some of them, and I'm gonna have to look into how that would affect us. So I'll let you know. But I don't want to do it. Well, I don't want to do it unless I can, and that's the reality. So like I'm not going to name companies and talk about compare and contrast unless I like can truly do it. But as far as companies that we do really like, and there's no affiliation here, like I like FTMO, I like E8, I like MFF, or my Forex funds. And those are the three that I think have, for me personally, I've already talked about, I think are reliable. They have paid me out. I can attest to them. Like I've had no real issues with them. The other ones, you know, I would have to look into a little bit more and talk. There's a few that, and Jay's talked really shitty about 5%ers, and they haven't contacted us yet. So. But that's also, they probably are different now. Sorry, 5%ers. I don't know you guys personally, but you know, see, this is why it gets a little dicey. But yes, I think I would love to have people on. I think if maybe the workaround is I bring on people from the community to do it, not me. I don't know. We'll look into it. But yes, I would like to do this.
But
anyway.
With that being said, we have finally finished all questions. I lost count. We probably answered like 60 of them. But the most ironic thing is this.
Secret questions in those questions, though. Let's be for real. You guys are clever.
Yeah, I mean, there was like we've covered
there's probably
so many
like
questions.
100 something
but
total.
The most ironic thing is that I said at the beginning that this was going to be a quick lightning round interview, and as always in dramatic fashion, me and Christy make quick look very freaking long and tedious.
Well, hopefully we got some of your questions answered, or help people who are new, you know, like, or maybe you had a similar type of question. It was more of a talking style question, Q&A type of thing, but I hope that does help some of you guys. Or if you just kind of needed that, like, to not feel alone in some of these questions, maybe you were just curious about certain things that we do or talk about, or that I do or feel about. I don't know. I feel like it could be helpful.
Yeah, so let us know if you like this type of style, and maybe we'll do it every month or so, to where we'll just throw out a poll and then ask y'all.
Jay's trying to kill my life.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm exhausted after this.
I'm trying, guys. It's hard. She's stubborn, like I said. But no, let us know if you like this style where you just kind of throw us questions. Maybe you want specific people, like you want to ask questions to them, like maybe a full one with Artie or something of that nature. But let us know. Let us know in the community if you liked it or not. Hopefully y'all took a lot. This was a lot of information thrown at y'all, questions and answers especially. But make sure you like, subscribe if you're on YouTube. If you are in the audio only version, Spotify and things of that nature, please feel free to follow. That way you can catch us on all the future podcasts. We did take a little dip, I think, for 1 or 2 weeks because we were dealing with strategy wars and developing all kind of side projects. But I let you know now that we are back. So
Yeah,
we're
we are
happy to
back.
be
And
here.
next week we will have a couple guests on with us. So I'm excited about that.
True.
So we will be out though, spoiler alert. We'll be bringing actually I haven't confirmed, but I believe Rose is coming. Is Rose coming, Jay? Has she confirmed she will come?
Hasn't
Anyway,
confirmed yet.
Jeremy will be on with us. So we're
Jeremy
gonna
will
bring on
be
a
here.
couple of our high rollers that are with us in the community. They're in strategy wars right now, but mostly just to talk about their trading journeys a little bit. And both of them, you guys have met Rose before, but I think she was going to come. I think she will be coming, but you have not met Jeremy yet. If you're in the community, you definitely know who Jeremy is. But if you or you will know soon if you don't know who he is. If you are from YouTube world though, and you just like to watch these, you guys will get to meet him. And he is definitely been around with us for a long time now and has worked. Like we've been able to watch his progressing as a trader, and he is a funded trader because a lot of you guys like to hear from the funded trader. So we're going to talk to him a little bit about what his style is, what he's doing, kind of like run it a little bit, kind of like if you've ever seen the FTMO interviews with their traders.
Yeah.
I feel like that would kind of be fun because a lot of you guys want to talk to other funded traders and see like
And
what
especially
are they
members of the
doing.
community too.
Yeah, see like what do they do? What is their style trading? So we'll have that more of like a showing type of one where he will stream a little bit. Rose will probably be there as well. You guys have met her and she's been funded all along. Do a little checkup with her, see like how is her accounts going? What has she been doing
True.
since last time we talked to her? And I think that's always nice to see. You can talk to them and get a real perspective of what it's like to be a funded trader and the consistency. So that'll be in our next episode. So if you guys are interested in checking that out, definitely come back next week because we'll be having them on that episode.
As always,
I'm excited.
guys, stay safe, happy trading, and love, peace, and chicken grease.
Bye.